Hello everybody, it is Michael from Hallowed Thrills back with another video, and today we got the announcement to end all announcements. That is right, we got the remaining 5 houses, 5 scare zones, and 2 shows announced today for HHN 30, which means that we officially have a full event lineup announced, which that means only one thing. I will have a ton of videos over the next couple weeks talking about my hype lists and like guides for the event and a whole bunch of other stuff, so please be prepared for that. And if you want to see all of that, please make sure you're subscribed and have the bell notification turned on to not miss any of those videos coming out over the next few weeks. And also make sure that you are following both my Instagram and my Twitter, as I broke the news over there first before I did it over here for a video for you guys. But now let us break down every single announcement that we got today, all 12 announcements. So we will start out with the house announcements. We have the 5 remaining original houses that were announced. So we will break them down, starting off with the 2 that we were pretty sure were coming to the event this year that were teased last year. First being Revenge of the Tooth Fairy. And Revenge of the Tooth Fairy, for those who forgot the story, is Revenge of the Tooth Fairy will entice guests to uncover the darker ritual behind an innocent childhood tradition. Long ago, parents struck a bargain with vicious, goblin-esque tooth fairies to protect their children from these evil creatures who crave pearly whites. All children must give up their baby teeth or pay a gruesome price. Guests will step into the heinous realm of blood, teeth, and gore, where these fairies extract their tooth bounty by force. And the only way out is to hold in their screams and keep their mouths shut. And for the story of Puppet Theater, we actually finally have a story for Puppet Theater, as a description was finally given to us following the video that we got last year. The demented side of puppetry and theater will take center stage in Puppet Theater Captive Audience, as guests are transported to San Francisco's abandoned Grandeur Theater in the early 1900s. They'll find the Pasic puppet trope trapped within its ruins in the midst of rehearsing their next grisly performance. With a fanatical need to entertain any captive audience, the trope has turned into transforming trespassers into living puppets, dismantling and sewing them back together as life-size marionettes for additions to their horrific encore. Will guests escape in one piece? Or will it be their final curtain call? No matter what, the show must go on. Both of these houses absolutely sound amazing. I know we did see Tooth Fairy last year, so I am excited to actually see it again this year to see what changes they had made and how it differs from last year's event. But Puppet Theater, I have a feeling, is going to be one of those sleeper houses of the event, and personally I cannot wait to take a step inside of Puppet Theater and be part of the audience. Our next 3 houses coming up, first being Welcome to Scarey, Horror in the Heartland. Some of the most haunting original stories from Halloween Horror Nights over the years have been set in the mysterious town of Carey. And this year, Welcome to Scarey, Horror of the Heartland will combine these stories and bring them to life once again. In a first ever haunted house that pays homage to the event's 30-year history, guests will be transported back to the shady township of Carey and enter familiar settings that will leave fans shrieking from nostalgia and horror. From the ghastly cave of vampires from the Hive, the decrepit attic of Dead End, and the disturbing Meets Human Deli from Leave It to Cleaver, they'll find no escape from the evil of Carey once and for all. Now, I do hope that there are more Carey houses from the event's history that will be in this house, as those were only a few options that were given to us in that little synopsis. So I do hope that there are more in there, something like maybe Slaughter Cinema. I hope Slaughter Cinema does make an appearance, as that was part of Cary, Ohio, and maybe Psycho Scarey will make an appearance. I really hope that we get just more than those three, as I'm not really the biggest fan of them. Now we are on to our fourth house, which is Wicked Growth, Realm of the Pumpkin. The beloved tradition of Halloween has more sinister roots waiting to be unearthed. As the grower of this ritual, the Pumpkin Lord is prepared for his yearly human harvest in Wicked Growth, Realm of the Pumpkin. Lured in by the familiar sights and sounds of the holiday, guests will find themselves trapped in an endless maze of traditional Halloween domains, including a dilapidated haunted house, an ominous graveyard, and even a wicked witch's cottage, all overrun by ruthless creatures engulfed in ghastly pumpkin growth. They'll follow the ceaseless vines as they twist and turn right into the Pumpkin Lord's lair, where he eagerly awaits new victims and is never truly satisfied. Now this house sounds absolutely amazing and is slowly creeping up on my hype list, but you'll have to wait to hear that. But there is no mention of this being connected to Cary, Ohio, which does kind of sound a little weird, and it's not even connected to Twisted Tradition, which is what all of our initial thoughts were, that this is going to be connected to that scare zone from a couple years ago. But anyways, this concept, no matter what, does sound amazing, and I cannot wait to see this, and I cannot wait to see what could possibly be a massive puppet for the Pumpkin Lord. But our last announced house of the announcements today was Case Files Unearthed Legendary Truth. The world of Legendary Truth, an evolving story following a mysterious paranormal research group, has haunted guests via unique haunted houses through Halloween Horror Nights history. In Case Files Unearthed Legendary Truth, guests will step into the well-worn shoes of the infamous Boris Schuster, the elusive private eye investigating the supernatural, as he endlessly searches for clues to a series of strange occurrences throughout New York City, falling further into the shadowy, dark world of the paranormal. Guests will face an overwhelming onslaught of ghouls, poltergeists, and terrors, all while trying to solve the biggest mystery of them all: how they'll survive. Now, as a person who doesn't really know the backstory, but kind of knows a little bits and pieces of the backstory of Legendary Truth, I'm not as hyped about this as I should be, but I do think this is going to be a great house, and I cannot wait to see what kind of stories they add in this. Unfortunately, it does seem that these are all going to be new stories, so what I covered in the last Icons episode about Bloody Mary, I don't think she's going to make an appearance in this, as it seems like her case is closed. But anyways, I am interested to see what they're going to come up with next. Now, if you thought those houses sounded amazing, which personally I did, just wait until you hear the scare zones, as this might be possibly one of the best scare zone lineups that we have had in recent years. First up, we have Seek and Destroy in the New York section of the park. Guests will find themselves in a New York dystopia, where a ruthless alien cyborg regime led by the Controller has taken over, relentlessly scanning the city streets for humans and turning them into fuel, with the regime's loyal followers hiding in the darkness, endlessly hunting for new victims. Guests must either join them or be destroyed. This scare zone, as of right now, with the current construction that's going on, does look to be the closest to be completed, and honestly looks so cool. And I will definitely have a video coming out within the next couple weeks talking about all the scare zone construction that we can see inside the park. But this zone looks amazing, and these scare zones all look amazing. I can't wait to show you guys all the construction that I've been seeing about them. But next up, we have Crypt TV. This is based on a YouTube channel that does a little bit of horror shorts, and I have seen one of them now, but I'll tell you a little bit about the zone. Guests will step inside Crypt TV, a dark universe of monsters that reside in the same reality on their screens, in their pockets, and now in real life. In this nightmare world that's overtaken San Francisco, creatures of all shapes and sizes exist, including the Look-See, the Sunny Family Cult, Harclaw, and Miss Anity. Now they've been brought to life in a world of fear that will engulf any guest who enters. Now I really do hope that there are more monsters from those series in this zone, as I do believe one like the Birch might be a good one to have in here, or others like that, or the was it the Door in the Forest was another good one that I think should definitely be in there. But personally, the one that I did see that I really hope makes an appearance in this zone is the Mordillo. Now, the Mordillo, I watched that short, and that looked horrifying. I really want to see that in real life, because I would be scared to death of that. Zone 3 is 30 Years, 30 Fears. Now, this is our normal anniversary zone, which has a ton of props out right now. The most infamous characters of past Halloween Horror Nights, Scare Zones will reunite to take over the Avenue of the Stars in 30 Years, 30 Fears. Guests will enter a gory reunion where the past has come back to haunt them with creatures of blood and bone, beastly monstrosities, and chainsaw-wielding fiends lurking around every corner. The zone looks super cool, like I did say, and I personally cannot wait until that massive Halloween Horror Nights sign that is definitely neon, I can guarantee you it is all lit up, and it does look like there will be some fire in this zone, so this is going to be a really cool way to bring you into the event and just really set the tone for the night. Now, our next zone is Lights, Camera, Hacktion, Eddie's Revenge. This is a returning scare zone concept from 2009, which was just called Lights, Camera, Hacktion, which was a kind of like a whole thing with the Chainsaw Drill team making a movie and everything, but this one in particular is Eddie Schmidt, Jack the Clown's diabolical brother, is returning to Halloween Horror Nights to film a gory Hollywood sequel in Lights, Camera, Hacktion, Eddie's Revenge. Except this time, the monsters are real. Vampires, evil clowns, creatures from the watery depths, and other horrific beings from events past will roar on the scene, where guests will make their short and painful cameo. Now, this personally to me kind of looks like and sounds like a best of Scare Zone, because we're gonna have like characters like the Vamps, a whole bunch of like killer clowns and everything, and I just can't wait to see what other Scare Zones from the years past they end up bringing into this, as there's been a couple things of construction going on to lead me to believe that we're gonna have a best of Scare Zone in this. But personally, Eddie is what's really drawing me into the zone. I cannot wait to see Eddie Schmidt in person. Now, the last zone is Gorewood Forest. Now, for those who do not know the story of Gorewood Forest and how it connects to the Terror Queen, let me tell you a little bit about it. The Heartless Terror Queen is back, and her wicked plans to remake the world in her terrifying image will take root in Central Park, transforming it into the grisly Gorewood Forest. Guests will find nowhere to hide from her menacing minions as they harvest fresh blood to feed her ever-growing power. Now, this lineup of zones is unmatched in every way. Like, it is going to be so hard to rank all of these, but I will eventually have to come next week's video. Now, lastly, we have the shows. First, in the Fear Factor stage, we have Halloween Nightmare Fuel. A fearsome and unforgettable performance will ignite guests' waking nightmares in the all-new show Halloween Nightmare Fuel, where nocturnal creatures, aerialists of the night, and frightful fire performers will come alive to the crackling beat of rock, metal, and electronica music. Now, this sounds like our normal run-of-the-mill stage show, except for not having the group that shall not be named show up at this year's event. Now, I am excited because that could possibly mean that we will be having in-house talent for this year's show, which would be really good as it gets all of those people jobs. Nothing better than that. But I hope that if this all goes well, that we have those in-house performers for future events down the line. Now, the final announcement and the last show for this year's event is the long-awaited, quote-unquote, return of Marathon of Mayhem. This time being called Marathon of Mayhem Carnage Factory. An all-new Universal Studios Lagoon show will make its horrifically hypnotic premiere at Halloween Horror Nights in Marathon of Mayhem Carnage Factory. Jack the Clown will lure guests into a trance, and they'll awaken in the heart of Insidious Factory with pulsing lasers and pounding, electrifying music. Frozen with fear, a nightmare machine will extract guests' deepest fears one by one and project them onto giant water screens, showcasing the notorious Halloween Horror Nights icons and frightening scenes from Netflix's critically acclaimed series, The Haunting of Hill House, the legendary Universal Monsters classic movies, and the iconic slasher film, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Now, as a person who didn't get to see the last rendition of Marathon of Mayhem, I will definitely try to make it a point to go see this show, as I was told that the last time it was here at the event, it was something to see. It was amazing, and it was definitely a one-of-a-kind show, but I personally am super excited for this one. But there is one issue that I have with it, as they named all of the IPs that are going to be that are going to be in the show, and Beetlejuice was not one of them, which is very confusing to me, as you would think they would have one of the biggest IPs at the event in the water show. But I guess we'll have to see. Maybe he'll show up, maybe he won't. I don't know. But either way, I am just super happy that we are having an event this year, and we finally have a full lineup of announcements. But that was our massive info dump for the day, as now Horror Nights is officially 21 days away. That's exactly 3 weeks until we will be awaiting the gates to be opening for opening night. And personally, I can't wait to see all of you guys there, as I officially will be there for opening weekend. I made an extra trip out there, so I am super happy that I will be able to go out there. And speaking about opening night, a little bit of last tidbit of news if you stayed this long. They did announce that the first 2 nights, Friday and Saturday, September 3rd and 4th, will be extending their hours until 2 a.m. instead of 1 a.m. So I cannot wait to see all of you guys there. But until next time, I've been Michael, and this has been Hollow Thrills, and I'll see you guys in the fog.